Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Candid Q&A with our readers. We have the author H.G. Shuler talking about his newest release, Man Seeking Life. And the reader we're talking to today is Terry Berger. Hey, Terry.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I'm so appreciative that you joined us today. We've been trying to do this with as many people as we know. Helps to get the word out about his books. And we kind of like talking to our readers to see what they're all about too. So I sent you a few questions and I thought we might could go ahead and get started with you, Terry, and then we'll move on to the author after we discuss a few things.
Okay.
Okay. So tell me about your reading habits. What do you read for entertainment or for
I read for entertainment. I read for release. I read. It helps me take me out of maybe a stressful situation and into something else. And I read because I just enjoy it.
so what would you say your go-to genre is? Do you have one?
Yeah, I do. It's mysteries or it's it's usually ones like whodunits type things. Um I don't know why, but I'm very interested in the mind of psychopaths, what makes them tick.
Okay.
I know that's not the best thing in the world to be interested. It just I wonder where they come from sometimes.
Mhm.
And I also am interested in, I really like the profilers who can recognize things about maybe a narcissist or whatever, what makes them a narcissist. So that
Yeah.
kind of stuff intrigues me.
Okay. I could see why that is. So where do you purchase your books usually?
Usually, I do belong to Kindle Unlimited, and then I also go over to a bookstore we have right next door to Ethel's, Lucy and Ethel's. That's up in our area, and then I go on Amazon, purchase there. Those are the three main places that I purchase.
Okay. So how many books would you say you read in a year?
Well, it depends on who you ask, me or us. I probably read, if you could say, you could probably say, if you did one a week, that would be how many a year?
Well, that's 52 a week, a year, I guess.
Probably. I would say I at least read 50 books a year.
Okay, I think she gets the gold medal, Harold, from our readers pool so far. When you told me you had read two books and she read this one, I was like, wait a minute, you just finished this one a couple of
Yeah, I
weeks
can't.
ago.
What I do is I go through a process of I want to read, so I read, and when I'm done reading, it's like that person has not left me yet. He's still with me, or her, or whoever I'm reading about. So I move on to another book, and then that person's with me for a while, and then I move on to another till I finally say, okay, look aside. You're not gonna you're gonna give yourself a week break. So then I won't read one for like a week or two. So I may read 3 or 4 books in a week, then I won't read one for 2 or 3 weeks. So
Like,
I do, you know,
yep, I guess you like to read.
I love to read. In fact,
Okay,
I did an Audible. I never listened to an Audible before, but I decided, well, I'll try one just because it was nighttime. I couldn't sleep, and I didn't want to wake Russ up by turning the light on. So I just put my earphones in it and did a free trial Audible. And next day I canceled it, and they asked me, well, what if we offer you more free trial? And I'm like, nope, I got to read it myself. Listening to it's not
yeah,
doesn't do it for me. I
yeah,
want to read it.
yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I'm the same. I find my mind has a tendency to wander when I'm listening. I don't catch everything.
I can't visualize it as well
Yeah,
as I can when I read it.
yeah, yeah. So when you enjoy a book, I want you to tell me what is it that you like about it? Is it because it's relatable? Does it make you laugh? is it just easy to read, or are you learning about a new topic? Tell me, what is it that you
Oh,
really
all
enjoy?
the above and plus some. Um, yeah, I do. I like learning about things like I said, especially if I'm dealing with someone that's like right now that I'm reading right now, the guy is a profiler. So I'm enjoying how he's profiling the person he's after.
Okay.
So that that gets my attention. I also gets my attention is ones that are I'm not like I'm not a love story reader or anything like that. I if there's a little bit of love romance in there and they wind up as partners, I think that's great. I like that it has a good something in there. But I mainly want it to be about how they're tracking them or how they're what's their goal for this person to help or sometimes it's they're looking for someone and they need to help them. So how they find them. Um, I like um I do like funny lines in them. I like to have some little bit of fun in there, and it doesn't have to all be serious, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't need to be gory. I can get the idea without if something without it being gory. Sometimes they'll want to give you
Yeah.
all these horrible details. I don't need all those horrible details. You can say her throat was cut. And that's plenty.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so do you think you're the kind of person that quickly recommends a good book or a book that you're enjoying?
Absolutely.
And who do you usually recommend them to? Do you have like friends and family that you can just
Tammy and I share the most
okay?
because she's a reader too. So Tammy and I share the most. Stevie does like to read. He hasn't read in a while because of he has read in a while, but he does like to read. So I uh just recently gave him the trilogy books Harold's to try to get into that and see if he can get his minds other places. Um yeah, I also Russ's sister Carol, she's a big reader.
Okay,
Russ's mom used to be a big reader, but she can't anymore. And then my sister-in-law Debbie, she'll send me names and authors, and I send her names and authors. So
nice. So now I want you to turn your focus to this book, Man Seeking Life by H.G. Shuler. Tell me what it was your experience in reading this book. What makes
Mhm.
it outstanding? What do you think?
it it has a lot of emotion in it because I guess I was surprised at how much emotion was in it. I was surprised, and when I mean emotion, I mean not good emotion. It was people the anger that people felt, um, the 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 fact that they didn't give him they didn't give it time to get the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that even his own family turned on him. Uh, all of that part of it really upset me. And I kept saying, they're just going to calm down and then they're going to come back and that never happened. And I also I got angry with him because I wanted him to be more, um, stand up. My personality. I'm like, I'm going to stand up for what's right or I'm going to say my piece. I wanted him to say his piece instead of just going off quietly. But then as I read the book, and I saw how it started falling into place, then it kind of calmed me down to where I'm like, okay, this is a good, what was that word? I mean, it was his calmness took him in a direction that if he stayed angry, he could have wound up being an alcoholic or anything. But because he handled it the way he did, and it wound up coming full circle, it made him a better person, and it also I felt like it had made people see him as a man that had integrity and was not making excuses for himself.
Yeah. So I think you would probably agree with me, Terry, then the main character in the book, Jackson, the EMT, whose life fell apart, is the person you're speaking about. And his personality to me relates completely to my husband's personality,
Oh,
who is the
absolutely.
author of the book. I
Absolutely.
totally saw him as that character in everything he did.
Mhm.
Everything he did. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So, where would you place this book in comparison with other books that you've read that are similar?
Place it like
Like
uh, uh,
equal to, better than, below average? What would you say?
I would put it in a whole different category of every other things that I've read. So that's so because it had more meaning to it. The other ones are kind of like, like I said, mystery, who done it type things, but it doesn't get into the person the way this got into the person.
Okay.
So I think to me it was probably one of the getting so one other there's only one other book that I read that I thought was that touched me as deeply as this one did, and that was Still Alice. I don't know if you read that one or not, but it's
Oh,
Alzheimer's one. But and it got into the feelings and the family feelings and all that, and it really caught my attention because I was learning something about Alzheimer's, and because it showed how it affected people. So that and then so that it'd be right in the rating of those type of books that I like.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, Terry, since you know the author, H.G. Shuler, do you have any tidbits that you think other people should know that you know about him?
Don't don't misjudge him. Don't underestimate him, because if you if you think you're getting this quiet man that does is not is just kind of there, you're not. You're getting a man that's listening to every word you're saying, absorbing it, and is filing it away. And when you think that he just really didn't listen or pay attention to you find out later he did. Also, listen for his dry humor, because he will tickle you to death. You don't think of him, if you say Harold Schuler, you don't think Harold Schuler, what a funny guy. But listen for his dry sense of humor, because he tickles me to death.
That's very complimentary, Terry. I appreciate that. So, Terry, what do you think? Why do you think Harold chose to write about this topic in this book?
Um, well, because I know Harold, I think probably because it's something he personally has experienced, even though it wasn't about this, just his life and the way he's went through life and the things he went through in life. I think he was probably seeking himself, and probably didn't even know it himself, that he was seeking life and looking for his place in the world, which obviously is to be an author.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you, Terry. All righty. We appreciate you commenting on this book for us today and talking about the author and your perspective of his writing. We also enjoyed hearing from you about the reader and what you enjoy about books in general. So now we're going to turn our attention to the author, H.G. Shuler, also known as Harold. Harold, is this the first time that you actually used a news article to prompt an idea for a book?
I've read articles that sparked ideas before, but this was the first time an article really led directly to a book idea. Okay. I changed some things that were in the article. The article was about a girl who went into anaphylaxis shock, and basically she ended up a vegetable. And I felt for the girl. It was sad and really motivated me to write about it. In the book, though, the girl dies, and the focus is more on the EMT and to a lesser degree, her family. Using this angle or approach kind of gave me more to write about, more possibilities, more layers to the book. I'm not sure the original story was enough for a book, but the angle I took, there was plenty to draw from.
I could see that. I could
Yeah.
see that. So this story is pretty character driven, which is one of my favorite things that you do. How did you create the character that's Jackson's father? Is he like someone you know in real life?
Well, Jack's father is out there everywhere all the time. I grew up with this kind of man. I've worked with them. Heavy drinkers and womanizer are just a part of life. So I was familiar with this type of man. The difference is that usually this kind of man is not a good father. In the book, Jack's father, Frank, as flawed as he is the only one who sticks by Jack when his life just spirals all out of control. Underneath his own larger than life view of himself is this small part of him, this meek, humble part that will not let him abandon his son. So this is the quality that kind of draws us to Frank in the book, that makes us admire him. Frank helps us to see that there is something innately good in all people, and he makes us believe in people no matter how flawed they are.
Yeah, I agree. So without giving too much away, what was your favorite part of the story to create?
Well, this that's not really an easy question to answer because I enjoyed creating all of the book's characters. But I thought about it a lot, and I would have to say Willow, or Willie, as she likes to be called in the book. Don't want to upset her like Jack did, calling her Willow there in the book. Um, Willie is a girl at the rehab center that Jack volunteers at. She has a severe allergy to milk. She nearly died from anaphylaxis shock and just having to relearn how to talk and even how to walk. She's going through a period of therapy resistance, which, as I research, is really more common than you might think. Because of that, she has this attitude, and her relationship with Jack is on rocky ground for quite a while in the book. Eventually, Jack's determination to help her begins breaking down the barriers between them. The ensuing months of intense therapy and really, I would just say, just plain getting to know one another kind of causes a close bond to develop there. I enjoyed creating Willie because she's this 26-year-old girl that's still just kind of learning how to be an adult, how to treat people, how to control her temper. Like some of the other characters in the book, she is deeply flawed. But along the way, she kind of does some growing up, and her relationship with Jack kind of becomes a touching, emotionally stimulating one that you want to read about. It becomes the kind of relationship that you know will just last for a lifetime.
So when you were doing the research for this story, how did you tackle it? What resources do you typically use?
Yeah, I really tackled it the same way I always do. Uh, I delved into my research. I printed a lot of it out, and I got into anaphylaxis shock about as deep as you can go. But it was more than that. I learned about EMTs, things that I really have a lot more respect for EMTs than I did in the past. And so I take my research, a lot of that I print out, And I keep it right next to me as I'm writing the book, because I have those articles to draw on, you know, when I need those. And so between the facts of the matter and my imagination, you know, and then it just fits right into the story there. So as you know, I keep all that kind of with me the whole time. So yeah, it was really the same as I would do with any book. Do a lot of research before I actually start the book itself.
Are you doing any special research for your next story?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. My next story is about a girl who, for the first time, she's 18, turns 18, and she travels solo for the first time from Anchorage, Alaska, where she lives, to Seattle, Washington, to visit her cousin, and she disappears. And nobody knows what happened. And there's two detectives, one in Anchorage and then one in Seattle, that are looking for her. It's all about that. It's all about her family, but it's also about what's really taking place with her. So there's there's really a lot of layers to the book. But as far as research, human trafficking, I had to get way deep into that. Suspected convicted serial killers, I got into that. Aurora hunters, people who chase the northern lights, that comes into play. That I get deep into that as well. The Aurora Borealis, and a lot of my material, some of it came from the BBC. I like to use them. I think they're reputable to go to. CNN, Fox News, also blogs. I'll go to a lot of articles you might not realize are really from blogs, and you have professionals like detectives, for example, on those blogs that are telling their story, you know, what they go through, what they went through, how this works. Also, psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors, lawyers, you know, a lot of these that are on these blogs that I draw information from.
Interesting. Wow. You live an interesting life as a writer. You wouldn't think your quiet life could be so exciting.
Yeah, that's just part of it. You know, any writer, even if you're writing, I write fiction, of course, but if the fiction doesn't sound real, if it's not believable, then it doesn't work. So you have to take the facts of the matter, even if it's science fiction. Some of my science fiction, for example, in Earth Chronicles, the first book there, the Fifth Pinnacle, one of those chapters was about Vietnam. I didn't know much about Vietnam other than growing up and, you know, what the persona of what that was then. And so I researched it. I got on some blogs where men who served in Vietnam were there and some of their experiences. And when I went through some of the action scenes there, I drew on those personal experiences, and it made them real in the book.
Well, I think that wraps up our talks for today, our candid Q&A with our readers. Terry Berger, thank you for being with us today and
I
sharing
enjoyed it.
everything. And thank you, Harold, for being with us today as well. Stay tuned. We'll have more of these coming up in the near future. We got lots of books to talk about and lots of readers to interview. Thanks again. See you soon.
I
Thanks.
think